Long, long ago, in a time before humans roamed the earth, the world was a different place, wild, untamed, and ruled by creatures of every shape and form. It was a time when the animal kingdom thrived in ways we can only imagine, and the laws of nature were the only rules to follow. But even in those ancient days, a tale unfolded that will shape the life of all who came after. It is a story of greed and desire, where creatures, in their desperate search for what they thought they needed, ended up losing everything they already possessed. But in the midst of it all, there were those who had nothing, and in their quiet pursuit, they found something far more valuable than they ever imagined. It is a story of loss, discovery, and the unexpected twist that fate has in store for those who dare to seek. Once upon a time, in a flourishing forest where the trees were big, green, and tall, there lived a troop of monkeys who had made the forest their home for a very long time. They preserved and tended to the forest as it provided shelter for them. In the clan, there lived an odd-looking monkey named Kito. Unlike the other monkeys, Kito was small in size compared to his peers, and he had a very short tail, which made him bad at climbing trees. This didn't stop him, as he loved to explore and was always full of curiosity, eager to find new hideouts and new things in the forest. He often ventured into places that other animals didn't dare to go. He had a big heart and wanted to help others whenever he could. One sunny day, while going on his usual adventure to find a new hiding place, Kito heard a strange sound he'd never heard before. It was the soft singing of a golden bird. Curious, he wondered where the bird had come from. When the golden bird saw Kito approaching, it flew away. Kito wished he had wings like the bird and could fly as far as he wanted. He continued moving in the direction of the bird, going deep into the forest. By the time Kito was tired and ready to give up the chase, he realized the trees and plants in this part of the forest were different. They were shorter and had a different color, unlike the very green and tall trees he was used to. Kito was amazed by what he saw, but also worried he was lost. After a long walk, trying to find his way back home, Kito heard a bubbling noise, almost like water laughing and giggling. His eyes sparkled with excitement. Where is that sound coming from? He wondered aloud. His curiosity grew stronger, and he just couldn't ignore it. As Kito paused on a branch, listening, the strange sound seemed to call to him, drawing him in. It sounds so happy, he thought, forgetting he was lost. Kito decided he had to find out what it was, so he set off right away, following the giggling water sound. Finally, Kito reached a small quiet clearing, and there it was, a sparkling river that glowed with colorful rainbow lights. The water shimmered as if tiny stars were dancing on its surface, and the colors reflected all around, making the jungle look magical. It was unlike anything Kito had ever seen, and he felt like he was in a dream. Just as Kito was about to jump into the water, a gentle voice spoke from nearby. "Be careful, little one." Kito looked around, his eyes wide with surprise. Sitting by the riverbank was an old tortoise with a calm face. The tortoise shell was decorated with shiny stones that sparkled just like the river. His eyes were warm, and it looked like he had lived in the jungle for many, many years. "Who are you?" Kito asked, tickling his head in curiosity. "My name is Taji," the tortoise said. "I have watched over this river for a very long time. This river is called the River of Arts. It's a special river, and only those with pure good hearts should dip into it. Kito's eyes grew with wonder. The River of Arts? He asked. What does it do? Taji smiled gently and said, this water is very special, Kito. A long, long time ago, when the jungle was young, a rainbow touched down right here, filling the water with colors and magic. The water can give special gifts like wisdom, bravery, and kindness to animals with good hearts. But if someone with a mean or selfish heart dips into it, the river takes something precious away. Kito felt his heart beat a little faster. What does it take away? He asked. The river itself decides, Taji replied with his wide smile. It can see inside you and knows what is in your heart. If your heart is good, the river gives you a gift that stays with you forever. But if your heart is selfish or greedy, it takes something important from you, and that is also forever. Kito's excitement faded as he felt a little nervous. What if I'm not good enough to dip myself in the river? Taji looked kindly at Kito and began to tell him a story. Once, a lion named Zola came to this river. Zola was very strong and proud. He wanted to be the strongest animal of all and thought only about power. He heard of this river and thought it would make him even more powerful. So he came here eager to jump in and show he was the best. Kito leaned forward, his eyes wide with both curiosity and a little bit of fear. What happened to him? He asked. Taji's wise eyes looked sad. Zola jumped into the river, hoping to become the strongest. But his eyes was filled with pride and greed. The river could see this. So instead of giving him power, it took away his strength. From that day on, Zola was weak and could no longer live with his friends. The other lions cast him out, and he was forgotten. Zola learned too late that being strong means having a kind heart, not just powerful claws. Kito's heart raised as he thought about Taji's story. What if I'm not worthy? He asked, feeling a little unsure. Taji looked at him warmly. The river knows. It only gives to those who are ready. You have to trust your heart. Kito looked down at the sparkling water, watching the colors dance across its surface. He wondered what would happen if he dipped himself in. He wanted to help others in the jungle. He wanted to be wise and brave, but he didn't know if he was good enough. But he took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and gently dipped himself into the glowing water. When Kito came out, he felt different. He didn't feel bigger or stronger, but he felt something inside him. He felt as if he could understand things more clearly and see answers he couldn't see before. It was like a soft light had turned on in his mind, guiding him. He could feel the river's magic in his heart. Kito thanked Taji with a big smile and promised to use his gifts to help others. With this newfound intelligence, he found his way back to the part of the forest where his family was. With his newfound wisdom from the River of Arts, Kito felt a quiet strength inside him. It wasn't about being the biggest or the fastest. It was about seeing things in a way he hadn't before. He could understand the world around him more clearly, and he noticed details he had once overlooked. His heart felt lighter, and he was more confident, not because he was stronger, but because he felt he could help others in ways he hadn't imagined. One day, not long after his visit to the magic river, Kito heard an urgent rustling in the treetops. The other monkeys were chattering nervously, hopping from branch to branch with worry etched on their faces. A fire had started on the far side of the forest. Flames were spreading, and the thick blanket of smoke was drifting towards their home. The other animals in the forest began to flee, but the monkey didn't know what to do or where to go. Seeing their fear, Kito's mind raced. In his heart, he felt the calm wisdom from the river of hearts guiding him. He quickly realized that panic would only lead to chaos. The fire was fierce and spreading fast, but Kito had an idea. He climbed to a high branch where he could see the forest stretching out below him. He noticed that the wind was blowing the fire in a certain direction, and he realized that if they stayed together and moved quickly, they could escape the flames by traveling to the eastern part of the forest, where the trees were thick and green, and the fire would likely not reach. Kito turned to the troop and raised his voice. "Follow me! I know a way to safety." His voice, though small, carried a tone of confidence and calm that made the other monkeys pause. One by one, they looked at him and nodded, trusting his words. Leading the way, Kito guided the troop through narrow paths and hidden routes he had discovered on his adventures. He helped them avoid dry patches of forest where the flame could easily spread, and directed them toward the dense trees where the fire would lose strength. His small size allowed him to move swiftly, and he kept looking back to make sure everyone was following and safe. As they reached the eastern side of the forest, the monkeys saw the green, untouched trees stretching out before them, and they let out cries of relief. Kito had led them to safety, away from the flames and smoke, and they could rest in the shade, safe and sound. They looked at him with admiration and gratitude. From that day on, Kito was celebrated as a hero among the monkeys. His wisdom and quick thinking had saved them all, and they knew it was not strength or size that made a hero, but a good heart and a wise mind. Kito continued to help the troop in many ways, sharing his gifts with all those around him. The forest felt different now, for Kito had become its quiet, wise guardian, and the monkeys knew they could always count on him.